Did you know that it has just been a little over 1,200 days since the launch of ChatGPT? Now, there were other models before, but ChatGPT is the one that really invited the public into the world of AI in a bold new way. And I know 1,200 days sounds like a long time, but it's really just about 3.5 years. And I don't know about you, but it's hard to imagine a world without AI. AI is literally everywhere. It is in our inboxes, offering to write our emails. It is on our smartphones, correcting our typos, or in my case, sometimes creating typos because it just doesn't seem to know what I'm trying to say. And it is also showing up in places that I personally would have never expected. For example, did you know there are washing machines now that use AI to detect the fabric type and the load size so that your washer and your detergent usage is more optimized? You can also buy toothbrushes to map your brushing habits and then offer you real-time coaching so that you can get back in there and brush where you didn't reach correctly. There's even a brewery in London called Intelligent X that is using an algorithm to tweak their beer recipes based on feedback from brewers and tasters that love their product. So, love it or hate it, my friends, AI is here to stay. I say, why not find some new ways to embrace it? And that's actually what we're going to be talking about today on the Solo Grind. Or let me just say this, what I hope to communicate clearly. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to apologize if I sound a little bit scattered today. We have a brand new puppy who is sleeping near my feet. His name is Remy. And he is absolutely adorable. And he is also incredibly naughty in the best puppy sort of way. So my brain is a little bit scattered. But that being said, this conversation was honestly too good not to have. And my goal is to share how a recent mini dive that I did just for fun in the world of AI helped me see how my brand, the Caffeine Creative, is perceived by the outside world. And I want to say I was really happy with the results of my little experiment, but I also discovered exactly where I needed to make some tiny tweaks to better position myself for the dream clients that I am looking for. And I hope to help you do the same. So grab a cup of coffee, my friends, and settle in for today's conversation. Welcome to the Solo Grind, your weekly coffee break with me, Teresa Schlup, the original Caffeine Creative. I'm a solo business owner making my dreams come true while operating as a team of one. Here we talk about building a life and a business that feels perfect for you because success isn't about checking boxes, it's about truly living the life of your dreams. Welcome back, my friends. If you are new here, a very special welcome to you. For those of you who don't know me yet, I am Teresa Schlup, as I just said in my intro. I am a brand strategist and a web designer who loves supporting solo small business owners out there doing their best to make their corner of the world a better place. Whether you need a brand new website or just a few tiny tweaks, I might just be who you're looking for. And you can learn more about me and my services at my website, caffeinecreative.io. And now that introductions are done and complete, I'd say let's get into today's episode. What is AI saying about you? All right, so this all started last week. It was the end of a long work day, and I didn't feel like getting up out of my chair just yet. Sitting at my desk, I decided to have a little fun, and I opened up a fresh ChatGPT window and asked one simple question. What can you tell me about Teresa Schlup? Now, I don't know if you've ever been a person who Googled yourself, but I've honestly done that for years because I'm always interested in what Google had to share about me. And so this is just a natural progression for me to ask AI, what can you tell me about Teresa Schlup? The results were fascinating, to say the least. It captured what I do in really clear, direct terms, which I thought was pretty cool. It knew my voice really well. It knew where I show up online, and it identified my niche perfectly. It also shared a big picture view of me that I honestly thought was pretty cool. AI described me not just as a web designer, but as a translator between a business and its audience. And I loved that. Back in my corporate IT days, I used to call myself an IT translator because I could speak both techie and real person. Seeing AI pick up on that same energy today told me that my messaging is working. This one response from this one little question actually got me thinking about something in a much deeper way. If AI can see me that clearly from one simple question, what else does it see? And more importantly, what is it seeing that I personally might be missing? Now, over the years, like you, I have been told that I need to do a brand audit. And I have tried. I have given it the old college try to do a good, solid brand audit on myself. I have done client surveys. I have hosted client group discussions. I have even hired a third party to do anonymous surveys for me, hoping that people would be more honest with me. And honestly, I never got the return on investment that I was looking for. And by investment, I am talking about time and money. I've also gone to coaches and gotten a review of my brand done. Still, not exactly what I was looking for. And here's why I think that is. So first of all, clients, they don't want to hurt your feelings. They will say everything's fine even when it isn't. This could be because they love you so much that they don't want to hurt your feelings and insult you, or because they just really hate conflict and they want to avoid it. But the reality is most are not going to give you a true, honest answer about their experience in working with you. Now, coaches are going to be a little bit more objective and they're going to give you a little bit more open honesty. But the struggle with a coach is that they see your potential and what you could be doing out in the world, but they don't know your heart. And for me, I've always run a very heart-centered business. So while they may have ideas of things that I could do to advance my business, if it doesn't fit within the model that I have within my heart, it's not a good fit. So all their well-intentioned advice may not be exactly what I need. Now, as I said, I have never gotten the response out of all of these brand audits that I wanted to get. So I stopped doing them a long time ago. I know it's good advice and it's even well-intentioned advice that at some point I think we all should follow. But for me as a solo business owner doing all the things, it just hasn't been a priority for a long time. A brand audit at one point in time was a lot of work, could be incredibly costly, and it just delivered minimal results. But my little experiment last week, when I asked one simple question, what can you tell me about Teresa Schlup, got me rethinking about doing a brand audit because this one question was incredibly insightful. The other thing is AI is objective. It doesn't care about my feelings. It doesn't even know my feelings. It just tells me what the data shares with it. So I realized that I could, as a solo entrepreneur, do this brand positioning audit in a way that actually worked for me, a way that fits into my schedule and into my budget, just by sitting down and having a cup of coffee with my favorite AI buddy. I got a lot of really good, useful insights out of doing this, and I wanted to share it with you and invite you to come along on this journey with me. So what I've done for today's episode is I put together a list of questions that you can ask your favorite AI buddy to see how you are showing up in line. For sake of clarity, I am breaking these down into 5 categories. First is the basics about you. Next is going to be all about experience and clarity. We're going to take a look at gauging the emotional reaction from our messaging online and how we position ourselves from a financial perspective as well as our process in working with clients. And then finally, we're going to do a big reality check at the end where we ask some tough questions that we may not want the answers to, but we can't afford to ignore. I'm going to be including all of the questions that I am sharing in today's episode in my extended show notes as well. So be sure that you go take a look at that when you're ready to do your own deep dive into your brand positioning. Alrighty, now we're going to start by asking about the basics. And this is essentially, what do people think I do? I would say start with a question that actually inspired this episode. What can you tell me about? And then insert your name or business name. I know I personally was pleasantly surprised with the answer in a way that gave my ego a little bit of a boost, but that would not have always been the case. There are times in the past when I would not have gotten the answer that I was hoping for, and that's okay. If that happens to you, I don't want you to be bothered by that. Instead, I want you to use that information to make intentional shifts in your own messaging so that in the future, when you do a search, you're much happier with the results. Next, I'd say ask what kind of clients would be best for this business. This can be really telling because you are going to know right off the bat if you are talking to the people you want to work with or someone else entirely. For example, if it says budget conscious and you're aiming for luxury, you know you have a disconnect. Now, another great question to ask is, does this business feel approachable or intimidating? I personally wanted to ask this because I know that in the past, there have been a few people who have found me intimidating. That is never my intention. And I swear I try to be as nice as I know how to be, at least most of the time. But I also realize that I have a really bold personality, and that is not always well received or comfortable for other people. So I wanted to make sure that I am positioning my brand as approachable, because if I'm not, then I'm failing my clients and the people I'm here to serve. Thankfully, AI did confirm that I am hitting that approachable mark in my messaging. But again, that hasn't always been the case. So I'm grateful that I had this confirmation. All right, now we're going to move into the details about your experience and clarity, even greater clarity around what you do. And here is a great question that I think every business should ask. Is it immediately obvious what this business offers? Now, last week, my sister and I went to Junk Stock, which is this fun little event just outside of Omaha in Waterloo, Nebraska. They have vendors and antique shops, and my favorite honey guys are there. They've got food trucks and live music and all kinds of stuff. It's like festival meets flea market in the best possible way. And right before we were going, I wanted to see what food trucks were going to be there, because the food trucks are a big part of the draw for Kara and I. And so I get on, I look at a list of food trucks, and honestly, I could not tell what most of the food trucks offered based on the names. And that's really not that big of a deal. Food truck names tend to lean more to creative rather than clear anyway. So I thought, I'll just look up some that sound enticing. I'll go look up their Facebook page so I can see what kind of food they offer. And almost none of them had pictures of their food. They had picture after picture of their food truck, but no food images. So I still didn't know what kind of food they offered. And all of this food truck story is simply to share one important point. If you want people to know what you offer, you have to make it really clear. Don't let assumptions guide the way, because assumptions never lead to clarity. They lead to confusion and ambiguity more than anything else. All right. Another good question to ask your AI buddy is, does this business sound experienced? AI gave me a pretty cool reality check here. It did note that I sound like I have experience, but it also made a point to say that my focus is more relational and thoughtful rather than positioning myself as highly authoritative. And that is exactly what I want. A few years ago, I decided I needed to position myself as more authoritative, thinking that that is what I needed to do, or how I needed to communicate with my audience in order to grow my business in the direction I wanted to go. And in doing so, I actually started attracting a whole bunch of the wrong clients. They were perfectly lovely people. They were not my people. And I was not their people either. It was a bad fit. And that's because there was a disconnect in my messaging. So I intentionally shifted to more relational, more relationship marketing, thoughtful, intentional about what I do. And as a result, I started attracting the clients that are my people, and they appreciate that I'm their people as well. Now, once we've figured out what AI thinks that we do, okay, which is part of that, what do you do, the experience and the clarity, now's a good time to take a look at how we make people feel. Because buying, especially investing in higher dollar services, is a very emotional thing. In fact, low investments can be a very emotional thing. I know people who are emotionally attached to their toilet paper. If you mention toilet paper to my mom, you are going to get a 20-minute deep dive on why her brand is the only brand that should exist, and while all other brands of toilet paper are essentially sandpaper. I share this not because I want to rip on my mom and her toilet paper choices, but because I want to prove a point. Buying is very emotional. Like it or not, we are all emotional creatures. And when it comes to a solo business, we often forget that about our potential clients and that they're having an actual emotional reaction to what it is that we're sharing online. So take a little time with your AI buddy and let's start gauging what that emotional response to your messaging is. The first question that I would have you ask is, does this brand feel trustworthy? If we aren't building trust, we aren't building a business. Trust is the foundation. If they don't feel like they can trust you to deliver what you say you're going to deliver, they aren't even going to reach out to ask a question. They're just going to click away. The second question is kind of a biggie, and this is, does this business feel confident or uncertain? As solopreneurs, we are so close to our work that sometimes our imposter syndrome leaks into our website copy. We use words like, I try to, or I think I can, or I am just a, and that is uncertainty. That uncertainty creates hesitation in the buyers. And as my friend Nancy Quinn says, confidence is a brand that sells. Uncertainty, my friends, is going to create doubt and hesitation, or they're just not going to reach out at all. AI is a whiz at spotting those weak words that are sabotaging our authority in our website copy, even when we don't realize they are. Let's take a look at the money and mechanics, or your financial and process positioning. Pricing is always a touchy subject, and all too often we attract people who don't have the budget necessary to work with us when we're in those higher dollar services like interior design or even web design. And a lot of that comes back to our messaging. If your messaging and your pricing are living in two different worlds, you're going to have a very hard time closing sales. So the first thing that I recommend that you ask your AI buddy is this. Does this business feel high-end, mid-range, or budget-focused? This can be really telling and explain why the wrong people are showing up on your calendar. If you want to go deeper, and I recommend that you do, ask this follow-up question. What assumptions would you make about their pricing based on their messaging? This is so incredibly telling. You might think that you are positioning yourself as a luxury service, but if AI comes back and says, this looks like a great budget-friendly option, you know that you have a major disconnect in your messaging. And now you know what you need to tweak to position yourself a little bit more clearly. Now let's shift into your process. Ask your AI buddy, would you expect a streamlined experience or a highly customized experience? This is a huge question for my interior design friends, because if you are a designer who provides a deeply personal, one-on-one, I will source every vintage tile myself kind of transformation, your process is highly customized. But if your website is using generic language, photos that look like everyone else, and a process that sounds like a 3-step automated funnel, then you are attracting the wrong crowd. If you sound like a template, but you're selling the dream, the person who wants the dream won't believe you can deliver, And the person who wants the template will be shocked when they see your custom pricing. And while this is specifically geared towards my interior design friends, I honestly think anyone in a service-based business could ask this question. Would you expect a streamlined experience or a highly customized experience? It's a telling question that can really help you see holes in the process that you communicate online and how you can make that sound a little bit more clear so the right people are clicking through and getting on your calendar. Alrighty, my friends, we have looked at what AI thinks that we do. We've made sure that our experience is shining bright, and we've taken a look at the emotional response of our audience. We've even taken a look at money and process. Now it is time to move into the final category, hard truth questions. These are the ones that are going to make you squirm a little bit, potentially, but they are truly, truly beneficial if you want to stand out in the very best way. And the first question that I want you to ask can be a little bit of a gut punch, but it's an important one to ask. Does this business sound more experienced than its website looks? I've actually seen this go both ways. I have seen highly experienced business having janky websites that do not show the world how incredible they are. And I have seen people who have highly polished websites that do not meet the experience that they have to offer. Here's what I want you to remember. Out right now, copywriters, marketing experts, even our AI buddies can help us write website copy or social media copy that makes us sound like a world-class authority and the only person they should reach out to. But if that copy is sitting on a page that is dated, broken, or looks like a DIY project from 2015, you have just created a trust gap. The words are making a promise that the visuals are not supporting. This is true with your social media as well. So ask your AI buddy, does this business sound more experienced than it looks? And be open to the response that it gives. We've all tried the path of fake it until you make it. In fact, I just talked about this in my episode on the cost of pretending, but we really can't fake it. So just be who you are. The people who need you are going to appreciate your genuine authenticity. And if there is a gap between how you sound and how you look, AI is going to help you spot it, and your dream clients are going to feel it. So use this to better position yourself. And this leads us to the second question to take things even a little bit deeper. Does anything weaken the trust? Is there something out there in your online world that is sabotaging your credibility that maybe you don't see? Years ago, I was consulting with a business whose entire model was helping people deal with drug and alcohol addictions. Fabulous people, very big hearts, but their personal and very public social media persona showed them constantly intoxicated in their own photos. This was a huge trust killer, and it was hurting their business. People saw them behave one way in their personal life while saying something completely different in their business life, and it was a huge disconnect. This inconsistency weakened the very foundation of what they were trying to build. Now, this person, I don't think they had an alcohol or drug problem. They just didn't post on social media all that often, except when they were out with friends. So it made them look like they were a big old hypocrite, in all honesty. AI can help you view these types of disconnects in your messaging. They can help you show or see where there's a conflict in your presence. And it's a full-on reality check on your integrity and the messaging that you're putting out there. So ask the question and be honest with yourself. Is this how I want the world to see me? Now, finally, the ultimate test of clarity is to simply ask your AI buddy, if you had to summarize this business in one sentence, what would you say? If AI, which has access to all of your words, your website, your socials, and anything else out there in the online world, if it cannot give you a clear, punchy sentence that sounds like the business that you actually run, then your human audience definitely cannot figure out who you are either. If you ask that question and you don't love the answer, I also don't want you to panic. This isn't failure, it's an opportunity. Knowledge is power, my friends. The answer to that question is actually a roadmap that is going to show you exactly where your messaging is fuzzy so that you can get in there and sharpen it. This is an invitation to enhance your brand so that the next time you ask that question, the answer is exactly what you want it to say. All right, my friends, I know that we have covered a lot of ground today, from washing machines and beer brewing algorithms to deep, sometimes uncomfortable truths about how our brand is showing up in the world around us. If there is one thing that I would like you to take from this episode, it is simply this. AI isn't just a tool to help you write a faster email. It is a mirror. It's an objective, data-driven strategist that can show you the gaps you are too close to see. So whether you're a web designer, an interior designer, a coach, or something else, your brand is the bridge between your dream and your dream clients. And if that bridge is shaky, if it is uncertain, confusing, or just doesn't sound like the real you, then you're working harder than you have to. So I challenge you to go have a cup of coffee and a chat with your favorite AI buddy today. Ask it those hard questions. Ask it if you're trustworthy. Ask it if you sound like you're cookie cutter. And definitely ask it for that one sentence summary. Because once you know how the world is seeing you from an objective view that is not trying to spare your feelings, you can detect where the disconnect is, if there is one, and you can fix it. And if you find that your brand audit reveals you need a little help making those tiny tweaks, come find me at caffeinecreative.io. I would love to help you in any way I can so that your brand and your online persona are showing the world the real amazing person that you are. And with that, we are now at the end of this week's episode. My slightly scattered, puppy-brained, but hopefully very helpful episode of the Solo Grind. I am now off to go take this little guy on a potty break. But before I go, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. I love connecting with you in this way, and I hope to connect with you again very, very soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Solo Grind. I hope this episode is leaving you feeling good about the life and business you are building. If you loved what I had to say, please take a second to rate, review, and subscribe, or even share this podcast with a friend, as that helps me reach even more solo small business owners just like you. Have a great week, my friends, and I look forward to connecting with you again very soon.